You know, I don't usually make two videos about the same topic, but the zombies community is in a really weird space right now, and I want to chat about it. So just excuse me for 1 second. And as always, time to spin something. You know, the zombies community is something that I would say I'm a part of. I said that in my last video. I've been a fan for a long time. I think that a lot of the games and stuff are, you know, something that I look forward to playing. I consider myself, one of those hardcore fans. I do think that that's who I am. But wow, it feels awful to be part of the zombies community right now. The grand majority are so upset about a lot of what's going on with Black Ops 6 and the release of it, and are we going to get different game modes, and what do those game modes look like, right? And there's a lot of different speculation around that, around those game modes and around what they look like, but the I'm gonna say rage is crazy. You know, the pure lack of being okay with change and development is wild. It's wild to me, and it's wild to be a part of. You know, I think the most important thing to talk about with the zombies community, and I think what points to a lot of the problems, are MrRoflWaffles' latest installment of his No Nonsense podcast. The podcast had a low subscriber zombies channel by the name of Stanley 557, 577, 557, one of those. Stanley with some 5s and 7s. And the editor will show you what it is, but his channel, and he was saying how he has been a zombies fan for a long time, similar to myself, similar to my friends, and even though he's been a fan for a long time, since I think he says 2010 in the video, but I could be so wrong about that, but I believe it's 2010, so about 14 years, he has never had more fun than with the changes. He's kind of over how things used to be. He's over the difficulty, that kind of stuff. Not to say that he wishes it was harder, but or not to say that he loves Cold War's easiness or anything like that, but definitely he is super happy with Cold War and the gameplay. And so in response to this, I watched the video when it came out. The comments were boolin'. They were crazy, they were aggressive, and it really sucked to be a zombies community member at that time, immediately when it happened, when all the comments were coming out, because even Milo at one point had to put a comment into the top of his thing saying, you guys need to chill, like, this is not okay, this isn't how we operate as a community. And honestly, I agree with him. I think I was also appalled at a lot of what was happening, but more than that, I was more happy, and not just being a small channel myself, but I was more happy with the fact that he would bring Stanley on, that Stanley would be one of his guests, because that in and of itself is great, right? That in and of itself, I think, expands the community. It inspires people who are part of the community, like myself, to, I say the community as if this is LGBTQ. The zombies community. For this point forth, we're talking about the zombies community. So, the community is, it's in an interesting space, but it inspires people like myself that are probably less known and are not the Milos, the Dalek JDs, the higher zombies players, right? The Z House and that kind of stuff. It inspires us to create, and it inspires us to come forward and talk, because there's room for us, right? And there's a space now of like, okay, well, if a really big YouTuber is willing to talk to a smaller content creator, that shows great work, that shows movement, that shows, kind of like an extension or like a growth of the community as a whole. So first and foremost, loved that decision, because obviously Milo gained nothing from it. Obviously a video, but he could have, literally he can make gameplay and pull the same numbers. He could do one live stream and pull those numbers, but he also helped Stanley's channel grow, and I think both of those two things are great, and I loved their conversation. But it really did inspire me. Stanley inspired me to go back and play Forsaken, play the final installment of Cold War, and actually see my thoughts on it. There was another reason that inspired me, and we'll get into that, but I think the first part was genuinely, I wanted to know if I really didn't like it, if I really thought that the gameplay was bad, if I really did think that yeah, the loadouts, the difficult, if I really thought it was awful. So what I did is started to move forward in a game. And so the game I decided to play was one round of Forsaken, and I enjoyed it. I was doing the Easter egg steps, didn't end up doing the Easter egg, but I was doing a lot of the steps. I was having fun, purchasing self-revives and whatnot, but I think ultimately the game was fun. Ultimately, I was having a good time just turning my brain off and kind of just playing. It wasn't super challenging by any sense, but I enjoyed it, and I think I was inspired to do so. I mean, the other thing that inspired me was there's a lot of conversation right now about different game modes, right? And I brought it up in my last video, and I'll bring it up in this one too, about classic mode, standard, and story, right? And a lot of people are like saying, yes, it's confirmed, it was in the game files. Other people are saying it's been in every game file, it's not confirmed, and there's been a lot of back and forth with that. For me, I could see it going either way. I could see it definitely not being part of the game. I could see it 100% being part of the game. I think for me it goes either way, but I also, along those lines, I think that we have to remember, I think the biggest thing I've seen where it's in the game is just because they scrapped the code from Steam. They wiped that code that talked about Zombies Classic. I don't think that's like the biggest showing for it, right? They've done that a lot with like removing code when it's been accidentally there, stuff like that. So no, I don't think that's like the biggest like green light, like it's in the game because Treyarch removed it, you confirmed by removing. I don't agree with that. It might be, I just don't think so. I think second of all, the main reason for it not being in the game is they would have had to make a whole nother game mode. I've seen this time and time again. Someone being like, hey guys, like super cool that we're talking about this. It's not in the game because they would have had to develop an entirely new game mode, an entirely new way to play the game. But I think we're forgetting the fact that this is the first Call of Duty, to my knowledge, that's ever been postponed. It's the first Call of Duty that ever was postponed, and if they had a whole extra year to work on it to polish this game, if they're willing to say this is the best Zombies experience ever, if we're able to see these things, like, why not? Why is it so far-fetched that they would have taken a little bit longer to develop a mode? They obviously took the time to develop a story mode, which is obviously easier, right? You don't have to like remove components of the game, and we're asking them to take things out. But if it's that easy to program forcing story mode and forcing steps, how hard would it be to remove stuff from the game? I know you would have to balance every weapon. I know that removing rarity, removing salvage, that kind of stuff might be more difficult, but I refuse to believe that it's out of the question. You know, I refuse to believe that they had that extra year to work on it. I think it's super possible. Remove the armor plates, remove that kind of stuff. Do I think we're going to, now let me pause on armor, do I think we're going to get shields? No, I really don't. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But having an armor system that's the same as Cold War, I think is entirely possible, right? Adds 3 extra hits, which is still a lot, but I think that's possible. And I think it's balanced in the sense that like the shield only covered you from behind for like 5 to 10 hits, and now the shield is only 3 hits, so nerfed, but it covers you from all angles, right? So at least I believe it's 3. I know that you can upgrade to level 3, and I think each upgrade is 1 extra hit, but I could be wrong about that. But regardless, I think that's balanced in a sense. So I don't think it's out of the question. I don't think we should say, oh, they can't do that because it would have taken too long, or oh, it's 100% confirmed because we removed any traces of it. No, I think saying both those things is quite silly. It's quite stupid. But I also believe that I think it's entirely possible, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So with that, I believe it. I believe that it's possibly in the game. I believe it's possibly not in the game. I think as of now, because they're saying it's the best Zombies experience ever, period, hands down, I'm leaning more towards it is. I don't know why they wouldn't show it, but they also didn't show the story mode. Now, do I think if they waited till launch to show it, that would be a big flaw? Yes, I do know of plenty of people, at least in my circle, that have refunded the game based off of how Liberty Falls looked like and based off of what the news we've gotten about zombies. So I could see them about a week, 2 weeks before launch showing, hey, there is this third game mode, but they don't have to, obviously. I just feel like if that game mode is there, I don't really see a lot of people being like, oh my gosh, it's in the game, right? Like when you go see a movie or when you go play a game that is moving forward in having like these different things or like these new mechanics or some Easter eggs or that kind of stuff, a lot of the times we find it out together, right? The ending cutscenes and that kind of stuff, we all find it out together. And so I feel like we should find it out together, you know? But those are like big things. Just to have a game mode selection, I don't think there's going to be that much like camaraderie or celebration or anything like that. So I think they'll probably release it within a week or two of the game. I also think that difficulty changes aren't new to the game. I could talk about Rampage Inducer being in the game. That's a new mechanic that's been there for a while, which I'm working on right now, thinking about streaming some Rampage Inducer Easter eggs. I think that'd be really fun. Get my squad together and just do all the Easter eggs Rampage Inducer on. Could be fun, could be cool. If you want to see it, great. Just to hype up leading up to BO6. Haven't decided for sure if I'm going to do it, but I think that would be cool. So we have that. The Arcades in Forsaken let us go back to knock and gives you a 1911. Not to say that's a difficulty spike, but to say that starting with a pistol is not completely far-fetched for the game as a whole, for difficulty changes and that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to it, starting with that. Again, I don't know for sure. And I'm not really gonna have a long video here. It's just something to talk about. The zombies community is crazy right now. It's wild. We need to chill. We need to just be patient for the game. I'm excited about the game. I think that we should go into it with the expectation that Classic isn't in the game until we hear otherwise. Because again, it's not having that game mode selection is not like a cutscene. It's not like a boss. It's not like an Easter egg. It's a core component, right? And I don't think we'll get the camaraderie around, oh my gosh, it's in the game, like I've already said, like just because it's a selection. I don't really see that. And I feel like they want to drive sales. Even if Treyarch doesn't, Activision for sure does. And if Activision is seeing this backlash, which we know they're watching, we know that they've been listening to a lot. You can look on Twitter, you can look on a lot of different platforms to see that they have been watching and they have been looking at that kind of stuff. So I could see that we get information within a week or two before launch, but we'll see. I don't really plan on making any more Black Ops videos, but if I do, awesome. And yeah, and with that, I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.